After Destroy All Humans: Path of the Furon crashed and burned, no one expected the series to make a comeback, especially after THQ's bankruptcy in 2012. The company was dead, but the name found new life at the Austrian-based Nordic Games. They rebranded themselves as THQ Nordic and began re-releasing several THQ classics, including Destroy All Humans. They decided to remake the first game and gave developing duties to Giana Sisters developer Black Forest Games. Fast forward to E3 2019, where Crypto, armed with his saucer and lots of Rammstein, made his triumphant return. Here was a franchise I never thought I would see again, back and ready to probe. The Destroy All Humans remake released to mixed reviews, but the game was a surprise commercial hit, guaranteeing a Destroy All Humans 2 remake was all but bound to happen next. It wasn't long until we got our first tease, followed by an official reveal in late 2021. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed would be a next-gen exclusive, allowing Black Forest Games to do things with the reimagined sequel that wouldn't be possible on older hardware. But upon its release, reactions to Reprobed were more mixed compared to the first. While it offered more ways to destroy all humans, it also had a lot of problems. I'd initially planned on reviewing Reprobed after I finished up the DAH documentary, but by the time I released it, I was fried. So I held off talking about Reprobed in any capacity, until now.
Premier Comrade Mielikov, Comrade Agents, thank you for coming. Here's what we know so far.
It's been 10 years since Crypto and Pox defeated Majestic and took over America. The Red Scare of the 50s has given way to the flower power of the 60s. The newly cloned Cryptospiridium 138 carries on his predecessor's job of running the country, while Pox continues his research on the mothership. Unbeknownst to them, the KGB knows of their existence and tries to kill them. They destroy the mothership with Pox still inside, but they fail to kill Crypto. Pox cheats death by downloading a copy of his mind onto a hologram unit. Stuck on Earth with no mothership, the two set out to uncover why the KGB wants them dead.
Jeez, Pox, my head's still spinning. What the hell's going on around here? Why are those Ruskies gunning for us?
The first Destroy All Humans was a tongue-in-cheek send-up of Golden Age sci-fi and McCarthyism scare tactics. Destroy All Humans 2 picks up the action 10 years later, and with the new decade comes new things to spoof. The tail end of the 1960s was a societal and political turning point for the world. Destroy All Humans 2 satirizes the hippie counterculture of America, the mod culture of England, the Orientalism of Japan, and the space race between the USA and the USSR. It's a lot of ground to cover, but in the hands of writers Tom Abernathy and Leanne Taylor, the result is a hilarious send-up of the 60s.
You're boring the love beads off of me here. Let's talk about something else.
Much like the first game, the humor works on two levels. On one level, you'll laugh at the wanton destruction, and on another, you'll laugh if you get any of the era-specific nods and references crammed into the dialogue. There are so many winks to 60s era pop culture that you'll find yourself Googling most of it to understand what the hell somebody was saying.
Actually, Pox, I was kinda planning to go see this new Russ Meyer movie. Violent Vixens Vroom Vroom. Looks like a blockbuster.
This is no time for film going. Our grip on this planet is at serious risk.
Some people may find the humor in the Japan or USSR levels stereotypical, but I think it walks a fine line between being respectful and being satirical. It's nowhere near the level of cringe that is Path of the Furon's Hong Kong level.
Master, there have been a break-in. Agents of the White Dragon Kung Fu Society have stolen your jade talisman.
The first game sent up alien invasion flicks, the sequel spoofs spy films. It's a globe-trotting adventure in which Crypto teams up with a rogue KGB agent to thwart a
fiendish master plan.
Some people prefer the alien invasion satire of the first, but I honestly love the change in direction the sequel goes. It opens up the world and the characters in ways that are interesting and clever. Take Crypto, for example. In the first game, he was an alien with a chip on his shoulder. When Destroy All Humans 2 starts, it's clear his time on Earth has loosened him up. Because Crypto138 has a package, he thinks about sex. A lot. The guy can't go 5 seconds without mentioning his package.
When you're packing a new Ferrari, you don't want it gathering dust in the garage, you know what I'm saying?
This sounds annoying, but his rampant horniness is balanced out by one Natalia Ivanova. Natalia becomes Crypto's ally / love interest. She's got a body that puts Scarlett Johansson to shame, but is also strong and easily deflects Crypto's advances.
Hey Nat, if I said you had a great body, would you hold it again?
I like you, Crypto, but I will neuter you if I have to.
Fair enough.
I think another reason the story is great is how it expands upon the lore of the first game. The big bad of the sequel are the Blisk, which are the Martians the first game alluded to. It's revealed a rogue Blisk ship was responsible for the Tunguska Blast of 1907, and since then, they've been running the Soviet Union. It's a clever way of mixing real-world events with fictional ones, and it's one of the many reasons I love Destroy All Humans 2's story.
You're not suggesting...
Suggesting. I'm telling you. Lenin, Stalin, Khrushchev.
Trotsky?
Please, don't be ridiculous.
The first Destroy All Humans remake preserved the original story and dialogue. Black Forest Games did this for preservation purposes, although they did make some minor edits and add several new lines. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed does the same. All the original material is here, though some adjustments were made. For example, the first Arkvoodle quest is now a story mission. In the original, it's an optional side quest. Making it a story mission not only introduces the Arkvoodle side plot early on, but it gives the player an incentive to pursue it. Other moments were adjusted or rearranged to better flow together. However, Black Forest Games did something shocking, something unthinkable. They removed Take It Like a Man. This was a quest where Crypto discovers a man wants to have a sex change, but is worried what his wife will think. So Crypto body snatches him, calls the dude's wife, then meets her to tell her, "It's my choice, deal with it." Its removal caused a spur in the Destroy All Humans community, with some believing Black Forest Games was self-censoring themselves despite the opening disclaimer saying otherwise. When asked about it on Twitter, Black Forest CEO Adrian Gersh said it was cut because it was a boring mission, not because of the subject matter. Personally, I'm either or. It was one of the game's more basic missions, and because it's an optional side quest, you could remove it and 99.5% of people won't notice, but the 0.5% will. Plus, despite the opening dialogue showing Crypto doesn't mind a person's sexual preference, the ending has him forcing the wife into the agreement. I can understand why some were miffed that it was removed while everything else was left unaltered. At the end of the day, it's a side mission, and had they left it in, people might have gotten mad for different reasons. You can't please everyone.
Well, for better or worse, till death do us part, you're stuck with me, baby, like it or not.
Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed offers more. More missions, more guns, more of everything. It's a 2006 sequel reimagined for a 2020s audience. Black Forest Games took to heart the criticisms the first remake's gameplay got and used them to improve this remake's gameplay. The result is a Crypto who's faster and deadlier, and a game that dials up the carnage.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Crypto starts the sequel with most of his abilities. This includes PK, Mind Read, Extract, and Forget. It isn't long before he's acquiring new powers to go along with the old ones, starting with Body Snatch. Body Snatch replaces the first game's Holobob and allows Crypto to possess an unsuspecting human with a few quick button presses. Body Snatching lets him navigate the world unseen and talk with humans to get new objectives. Certain humans have their perks. If you snatch a cop or soldier, you can use a phone booth to clear your alert. If you're a civilian, all you can do is leave a prank call.
Scotland Yard here. State your emergency.
May I speak to Officer Michael Hunt?
What part of T for teen don't you understand, sir?
Should someone spot Crypto while he's body snatching, he can use Forget or Free Love. In the original, this was a mental ability that made people dance. Now it's a weapon. Turning Free Love into a weapon keeps the controls from becoming cluttered, and it's a nice callback to the scrapped Hypno Beam from the first Destroy All Humans. Returning abilities like PK are much snappier and more powerful. In the first remake, humans thrown with PK would fly a good distance, but in Reprobed, it sends them into the stratosphere.
Wendy, I can fly!
Besides PK, there's PK Slam, a new ability that turns any person or object into a battering ram. Other new abilities include Mind Flash, which erases people's memories for a limited time. Like Free Love, this has been reimagined. In the original, Mind Flash brought the world to a standstill, and the only way to replenish it was by collecting brains. Here, it functions on a cooldown, which is an iffy change in my opinion. The collecting brains angle of Mind Flash balanced out how overpowered the mechanic was. Brains are instead used to refund upgrades, when I think they still could have been used to refill Mind Flash.
My head feels like Tiny Tim just whacked me with a ukulele. What happened?
Combat offers more ways to probe and vaporize. Returning weapons like the Zap-O-Matic and Disintegrator Ray are joined by new guns like the Dislocator and the Meteor Strike. The new guns introduced in the original DAH2 have undergone some modifications. The Dislocator now functions like a cross between the original Dislocator and the Super Baller from Path of the Furon. It bounces and flings its targets around instead of hovering them all over the place. I know some fans were upset with the new Dislocator, but honestly, I love it. The original Dislocator was more of a novelty weapon. The new Dislocator can quickly clear away enemies, making it more useful. And it's funny watching people get dribbled around like a coked up basketball. The Meteor Strike is now more of a meteor shower as it peppers its targets with meteors. Gastro, a deployable turret, can now target enemies in addition to attacking indiscriminately. When upgraded, Gastro turns enemies and bosses into Swiss cheese with his Disintegrator and Ion shots. The Burrow Beast functions similarly to Gastro in that it'll attack targets on its own, but will also attack marked targets. Seeing it burst out to gobble up soldiers and Blisk is quite cathartic. The saucer isn't too different from how it controlled before, but Black Forest Games has given it some under-the-hood upgrades. For starters, the saucer's viewpoint has been adjusted so you now have a clearer view of things. They also added saucer skins to pimp out your UFO with. Landing zones are unlocked by fulfilling a request from Arkvoodle, god of the Furons. From the landing zone, you can access Poxmart or the Navicom, among other things. Weapon-wise, the saucer comes with the Death Ray, Sonic Boom, and Quantum Deconstructor. New to the arsenal is the Anti-Gravity Field. The Anti-Gravity Field summons an energy wave that levitates its targets before letting them crash down. Besides weapons, the saucer has the Gene Blender. The Gene Blender lets you abduct scores of humans and use them to upgrade Crypto's mental powers. In the original, you abducted humans one at a time and then blended said humans. It was a good concept, but having to abduct one human after another was tedious. That, and the fact each time you entered a new area, you had to abduct the humans in that area if you wanted to, say, body snatch Albion citizens twice as fast. Black Forest streamlined this mechanic. Mental upgrades are now unlocked after abducting and blending certain types of humans. Plus, it's satisfying to suck up humans with your intergalactic hoover instead of slurping them up one at a time.
Good work getting the saucer here, Crypto!
No sweat. It needs to be aired out every 5,000 parsecs or so.
The original Destroy All Humans 2 eschewed the first game's linear missions in a sandbox environment in favor of a more traditional open world. Each area is littered with main missions, side quests, and goodies to find. Like the first remake, the missions are unchanged, but they've received some quality of life adjustments like checkpoints and optional bonus objectives. One of the original game's shortcomings was its missions. It may have been titled Destroy All Humans 2, but several quests had you escorting or protecting something. These missions are here, but they're not as annoying thanks to the quality of life adjustments and clearer mission parameters. You still protect tents, but now you know how much time is left. Boss fights have received a makeover. They're more visually striking, for one, and the redesigned attack patterns push the player to stay on their toes. Some boss fights are better than others, but their frantic pacing keeps the action going. From a gameplay perspective, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed is a step up from the first. The controls feel more responsive, and the quality of life enhancements makes destroying humans a breeze. In many ways, this remake mirrors what Pandemic Brisbane accomplished all those years ago. It takes what made the first remake great, makes it better, and improves where the first one stumbled. That's not to say it's perfect, as there are some things this remake does worse than the original.
Ah, crap.
The big one, in my opinion, is finding collectibles. The original had alien artifacts and Furotech cells to find. In the original, you unlocked detectors that identified where they were. The remake keeps this, but now it's a proximity detector that goes off when you're near a collectible. On paper, this sounds fine, but in execution, it becomes a guessing game due to the inclusion of new knickknacks like records and wall prints. This makes hunting for 30 alien artifacts to unlock the Burrow Beast a pain in the ass. The in-game tips say you can change the detector to find certain items, but I can never figure it out.
Don't tell me. People are shooting at you. Again. What's a Furon gotta do to get some rest around here?
Also, and maybe this is because I'm a serious veteran, but the game is easy. I get Destroy All Humans should be a power fantasy, but even the originals knew when to provide a challenge. The quality of life adjustments smooth out the kinks, but because of this, enemies that used to be tough, like the Black Ninjas or the Blisk, can now be easily run over. Black Forest Games did nerf the most OP items from the first remake, but that's like saying they took the rockets out of your rocket launcher, but not the bullets in your assault rifle.
Take it easy, pal. I don't know CPR, and I ain't giving you mouth to mouth. Deep breaths, okay?
Holy shit, this game looks great. These worlds might not be as sprawling as the ones in GTA, but damn are they filled with personality. As someone who knows the original game inside and out, seeing the reimagined locations for the first time made me do a double take. The lack of 6th gen constraints means you can see beyond the PS2 era fog and populate it with NPCs who do more than drive and walk around. I think the thing that stands out the most to me is the character animations during conversations. They're more expressive compared to the stiff mannequins of the original. I also feel like the art style is more refined. When I replayed the first remake to get some footage, I forgot how cartoony the NPCs looked. The first remake's art style didn't win over everybody. However, I feel like Reprobe's art style hits a fine line of grounded and stylized. Although I have no idea what the hell happened to Shamalama. You can tell Black Forest Games put a lot of work into the presentation, but it comes at a cost. Bugs. Lots and lots of bugs. When the game first released, it was a bit of a glitch fest. There were minor ones like NPCs getting stuck, along with game-breaking ones like being unable to revisit unlocked areas or unlocking weapons before you're supposed to get them. Black Forest Games patched out all the game-breaking ones, but Reprobe still has an assortment of tiny glitches. The audio design is peak. The returning weapons sound great, and the sound design for the new weapons is radical. especially the anti-gravity field. There's a lot of great ambient work put into the environments, from the rolling waves of Bay City to the Russian music blaring from KGB-controlled buildings. Like the last remake, the voice acting is composed of reused audio from the original, but it sounds much cleaner compared to the weird compression that was going on in the first remake.
Orthobox to Cryptosporidium 137. Come in, Cryptosporidium. Crypto! The mothership has somehow been destroyed, and I've been blown to smithereens!
All the performances are great, but if you ask me, the standout is Tom Abernathy as the Freak. That's right, the game's writer voices a minor character in a delivery that sounds like a cross between Bobcat Goldthwait and Paul Rubens.
Got any tips for dealing with the ladies?
Patience, love, mutual respect. Those are the ways to earn a woman's heart.
Are you serious? You sound like Gloria freaking Steinem.
Whoa, now, I'm a liberated man. What's with the heavy vibe, mama?
Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed is like Crypto's package, bigger and better. When Pandemic Brisbane made the original, they squeezed as much mileage out of the 6th gen hardware as they could to make a kick-ass sequel. Black Forest Games did the same for their remake. It looks great, plays great, but more importantly, it preserves the soul of the 2006 original. Part of me wonders what the future holds for Crypto and company. Because Reprobed was released as a next-gen exclusive, it didn't outsell the first remake. A last-gen port sans multiplayer was released in 2023, but since then, not a peep. Black Forest Games is currently working on an adaptation of The Last Ronin, and I'm excited to see them tackle something new. However, with the recent shakeups at Embracer, shakeups that have affected Black Forest, I hope they don't go the way of the dodo like Pandemic did 15 years ago.
No, really, seriously. Do you think there'll be a Destroy All Humans 3?
Should we get another Destroy All Humans, I'd prefer a full-fledged Destroy All Humans 3 that merges the best elements of Big Willie Unleashed and Path of the Furon into a single game. Keep the cool shit like the black hole gun, but leave out the cringy Nolan North Asian impressions.
We have the frying sieves.
I'm glad the series is back, and in my opinion, the Destroy All Humans 1 and 2 remakes are some of the best remakes in recent memory. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed gets an 8 out of 10.